Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Licensing Expo 2014. I'm Charles Riato, President of LIMA, the global trade organization for the licensing industry, and the sponsor of Expo. Today, I'm very pleased to introduce our keynote speaker, who is not only the leader of one of the most successful and trend-setting entertainment companies and licensors in the world, but an international business giant as well. In 1994, entertainment and media visionary Jeffrey Katzenberg co-founded Dreamworks Studios SKG along with Steven Spielberg and David Geffen, and in 2004 became CEO of the newly public Dreamworks Animation. Under Mr. Katzenberg's leadership, Dreamworks Animation, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, has become the largest animation studio in the world and has released 29 animated feature films which have enjoyed both critical and commercial success, earning 9 Academy Award nominations and two wins for Best Animated Feature. Most recently, he has spearheaded the company's shift into new entertainment platforms with such strategic moves as the purchase of Awesomenesstv, today's launch of Dreamworks TV, and an extensive original programming agreement with Netflix. Mr. Katzenberg is also well known as a philanthropist. In 2013, he was awarded the prestigious Jean Herschel Humanitarian Award by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences for his outstanding contributions to humanitarian causes. Today, Mr. Katzenberg will share with us his valuable insights into the future of the media, entertainment, and licensing industries that will surely give us all food for thought throughout this licensing show and beyond. So please join me in welcoming Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Thank you. As Charles mentioned, 2014 marks the 20th anniversary of Dreamworks. And as I look back, it occurs to me that this is also the 20th anniversary of something else, the last time I looked back. You see, I'm someone who always looks forward. But 20 years ago, after I left the Walt Disney Company, I took some time to look back at my first 20 years in the entertainment industry, and during this period, I think 8 days of reflection, I reached the conclusion that it was time to try something new, and so Dreamworks was born. Well, it's 20 years later, and I think it's okay to look back again in order to maybe see what lessons we've learned that maybe would help guide us as we do look for our future. And my guess is that some of these lessons are ones that maybe some of you can relate to also. Despite their obvious differences, entertainment and retail actually have much in common. Mainly, we both need to constantly engage customers in a world that is always changing. And during these past 2 decades, we've had our share of successes, but I actually find that we've learned more important lessons from our mistakes. As Mark Twain said, good judgment comes from experience. And where does experience come from? Experience comes from bad judgment. And I'm afraid we're guilty of some bad judgment during those formative years. Back then, we mostly produced traditional hand-drawn animation. Our very first release was actually the second computer-generated animated movie made, Ants. But quite honestly, we thought that CG animation would be something of a sidelight for our company. Hand-drawn animation was what we had all worked in, and actually been successful at. It was, for sure, our comfort zone. Then in 2001, we released Shrek. And with this film, we found our creative voice. It declared to the world, and more importantly to us, what a DreamWorks animation movie could be. Shrek was a huge hit. It won the first Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, and it really became part of the culture. And it was 100% computer generated. Shrek's success made clear to us the CG was the future of animation. And in hindsight, we should have realized this sooner. But in business, as in life, it's very difficult to let go of familiar ways of doing things. This left us faced with the monumental challenge of undertaking a massive retraining and re-equipping program to completely convert our studio to a digital production company. At the same time, we still had to finish and release our final hand-drawn film, which painfully became a $100 million write-off for us. Of course, it's an axiom of business that we live in an age of technological disruption. Countless business gurus are out there preaching the importance of embracing change. They make it sound as if it's like just giving your grandma a big hug. I'm afraid it's not so cozy. Disruption is, well, disruptive. It upends everything. So when we look back at our 20 years, the first lesson we take is not that change is necessary. Of course it is. The lesson is change is hard. It's not a warm embrace. It's more like being doused with a cold bucket of water. And the second lesson is that change in itself is actually not enough. You need to make the right changes, and those are usually the harder ones. Making the right changes requires a clear-eyed understanding of who you are. In our case, we made the mistake of thinking that we were about hand-drawn animation. We had to understand that our identity was actually broader than this, that we were actually about storytelling. And we needed to tell our stories in as visually exciting a way as possible. This required us to stay on the technological cutting edge. And thanks to this new self-awareness, we were able to undertake 2 more transformations of the company without quite so much trauma. In 2009, we became the first studio to produce all of our films in digital 3D. Early on, we realized that 3D is an incredible tool for great storytelling. When done right, say with Gravity or Life of Pi, judging by the reviews, How to Train Your Dragon 2, it offers audiences a chance not to just observe the story, but really feel they're a part of it. Our next technological transformation is happening right now, as we are implementing something we call Apollo, an entirely new technology platform for making our films. And this is the culmination of a 4-year R&D effort. The results can be seen in How to Train Your Dragon 2, where Apollo has unleashed a whole new level of creativity that is unbelievably exciting for our artists and we hope for our audience. Starting with Shrek, we achieved an uninterrupted string of 15 profitable CG films. Part of this success was due to another giant trend that has impacted us and just about everyone during the past 20 years, globalization. In 1994, the American film industry was still largely focused on the domestic market. Now, 65 to 70% of our business comes from overseas. Of course, over the years, we've developed numerous strategies to optimize international opportunities, but for us, the seminal moment came when all we were trying to do was make a good movie. As I said, our goal is to tell great stories. In 2004, we felt we had one. It was about an overweight panda, now we'll bring him on, who wants to be a kung fu master. We love the character, we love the humor, we love the heart, and we are excited that this story would take us and our audience to a country and a culture we had never explored, China. Well, Kung Fu Panda was a big hit, especially in China. Then 3 years later, the sequel set the all-time box office record for any film, live action or animation, in that country. This got us to thinking, well, perhaps we should expand beyond producing a Chinese-themed film every 3 or 4 years and instead launch a China-based family brand that regularly created entertainment in China, for China, and hopefully for export to the rest of the world. Now, 10 years after production began on the first Kung Fu Panda, animators are hard at work on Kung Fu Panda 3, both in Hollywood and at our studio in Shanghai. They are doing this at a new studio called Oriental Dreamworks, which is based in China. We believe is poised to become a preeminent family brand throughout that country. In 2017, the Oriental Dreamworks studio will move into its permanent home in a $2.4 billion, 40-acre waterfront entertainment and shopping complex we are developing with Chinese partners right in the heart of Shanghai called Dream Center. There are obvious lessons from this experience about the importance of seizing the opportunities that are abounding around the planet. But there is a lesson, I think there is a less obvious one as well, and that applies to just about everything that we do. And that lesson is, you never know. Remember, we made Kung Fu Panda simply to make a good movie, not to launch a major global business initiative. But that's what ended up happening. So you just never know where the next big opportunities will come from. Another lesson from the past 20 years regards brands. Achieving brand status is the holy grail of the consumer business. On Amazon, there are no less than 27 books listed that offer various approaches on how to build a brand. I can save you your money. We've learned that there is actually only one way to build a brand: make good stuff. If you make good stuff often enough, consumers will develop a trust in your name, and you will cross the threshold to become a brand. We feel this is happening with DreamWorks today. We've made good stuff over the years, and consumers are trusting us to make more good stuff. Our status as a brand has prompted us to rethink who we are. You'll recall I said that after Shrek we realized that we were about storytelling. But back then, all our storytelling focused exclusively on animated motion pictures. We now can apply our storytelling skills to a much broader category of family entertainment. Of course, this includes animation, which continues to form the wellspring of our brand. But the DreamWorks name can now expand far beyond this, which brings me to one more lesson that we've learned. In a word, that lesson is diversify. This is the way to realize the full value of our brand and our company. Our biggest diversification initiative is our major expansion of television. We already had successful shows on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, but last year's deal with Netflix, well, it was just a game changer. It was the biggest first-run deal in Netflix history and calls for us to create more than 300 hours of original content. We've also announced important multi-year partnerships with leading international telecasters such as Super RTL and Planeta Junior, which will bring our shows to audiences around the world. When you add it up, all of our TV initiatives over the next half-dozen years, we will be producing more than 1,100 new animated episodes. Then there's a new kind of TV, that is online entertainment. Last year, we acquired Awesomeness.tv, which is the fastest growing online destination for females ages 12 to 24. Awesomeness has jump-started us to become a real player in the online space. And it has made possible the announcement we made yesterday, the creation of DreamWorks TV. What Awesomeness is to teens, DreamWorks TV will be for kids and tweens, a daily online destination featuring live action, animation, and special appearances by DreamWorks characters. One crossover initiative that includes both online and print media is DreamWorks Press, which we announced earlier this year. The first publications from this unit will be available this holiday season. And we've also now launched Awesomeness, Inc., which will publish books based on Awesomeness TV series. A major diversification effort that simply wouldn't be possible if DreamWorks were not a brand in our expansion is our expansion into location-based entertainment. We've undertaken multiple initiatives in this area, from theme parks to retail to our partnerships with Merlin Entertainment, Gaylord Hotels, and Royal Caribbean. And to further engage fans of everyone's favorite dragon movie, we've toured the How to Train Your Dragon Arena show in the US, Australia, and this month it's opening in its new home, pictured here, next to the Bird's Nest Stadium in Beijing. But without question, one of our biggest and most important diversification strategy is you. Last year at Lima, we had our coming out. It was our moment making our first real big appearance at this convention. We wanted to make clear that we were serious about becoming a much more significant player in licensing and in retail. And I'd like to bring you up to date on what we've been up to. One of our first and most important moves was to recruit Michael Francis for the new position of Chief Global Brand Officer. As many of you know, Michael is one of the top branding geniuses on this planet. For more than 25 years at Target, he was instrumental in that company's rise to become what was one of the preeminent brands in retail. Michael is forging ahead with an array of initiatives that will do nothing less than transform our business, while also creating tremendous opportunities for many of you in this room. And to implement this vision, he has brought together a tremendous management team. At Consumer Products, we have Michael Connolly, who was head of international licensing for Viacom International. For franchise development, there's Sean Dennis, formerly Chief Marketing Officer for American Girl. Heading our DreamWorks Classic unit is Nicole Blake, who served at Classic Media as head of brand management. Leading creative development is Brian Robinson, who was head of fashion marketing and designer partnerships at Target. And guiding our location-based entertainment effort is Yoshi Mirahana, who was Chief Strategy Officer at Universal Studios. And at Awesomeness.tv, we have just added James Fielding as Global Head of Consumer Products and Retail, and James recently served as CEO for Claire's, and before that was president of Disney Stores Worldwide. Michael and this great team are building a new type of consumer products organization, one that integrates retail decision-making at the highest levels of our company. Of course, a great consumer products team needs great franchises as the basis for all those products for consumers. At DreamWorks, we are currently home to 6 particularly strong franchises: Shrek, Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, Puss in Boots, The Croods, and How to Train Your Dragon. As I'm sure you know, this past weekend, our How to Train Your Dragon franchise got a big boost from the strong opening of the second film in the series. But in order to keep franchises strong and vital, it's not enough to rely on the release of sequels every 3 or 4 years. And this is another reason our diversification strategies are so important. They're giving us a very powerful engine to drive consumer products with a 52-week supply of broadcast TV, Netflix shows, online entertainment, and location-based entertainment. One additional way we keep our franchises thriving is by building new films around popular ancillary characters. This is what we did with Puss in Boots, with a Puss in Boots movie, and we're taking that approach again in November with the Penguins of Madagascar, who we think could become a major franchise of their own. Here's a little look at a trailer for the Penguins.
When the world needs saving, it will take the most elite team on Earth. Skipper, Kowalski, Rico, and Private.
We're the elitist of the elite. Up high! Whoa, hey now.
From the creators of Madagascar.
Okay, boys, this is it. The mission we've been preparing for our entire lives.
Remain calm, penguins. You are now under the protection of the North Wind.
Private, dibble me.
I'm an outlaw.
We're not going anywhere with you. We don't even know who the heck you are.
The North Wind is an elite undercover interspecies. An elite undercover interspecies task force dedicated to dedicated to helping animals who can't help themselves.
Skipper, we've got to be 5 miles up. That pretty much limits our options.
I make my own options.
Brilliant move, Skipper. But now we seem to be outside the plane.
Well, kinda got caught up in the moment. Well, hindsight's 20/20.
Oh, why don't we catch that plane?
Bird strike, log it.
Dreamworks Penguins of Madagascar.
Now we're talking. Let's get to work.
400 meters. 300 meters.
Speak American, Kowalski.
Sorry, sir. 218 yards.
Okay, then. It's clear what we need to do next. Yeah, baby. Look out.
That feels right.
In addition to our franchises, we increasingly are home to Evergreen Characters. This is a very special category of characters who have managed to move beyond their film origins to become deeply ingrained in our culture. Shrek and Po have entered this select group, and certainly more of our characters are going to join them. In order to bring more Evergreen personalities under our roof, in 2012, we acquired Classic Media, which we rebranded as DreamWorks Classic. This brought more than 450 IPs, including Casper the Friendly Ghost, Where's Waldo, Olivia the Pig, Noddy, Pat the Postman, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Lassie, and many, many more, into the DreamWorks stable of stars. In addition, last year, we bought the worldwide rights to Trolls, which will be overseen by Sean Dennis, who achieved so much success at American Girl and is working on a troll wig for me right now. Maybe I'll have to wear that here next year. That's a threat. And today I get to announce the latest addition to DreamWorks Evergreen properties, and you might say this one is the evergreenest. I'm talking about an animated character who is actually known everywhere, who these days is incredibly popular in Asia, and who was actually born, believe it or not, in 1919. I'm talking about a cat, specifically Felix. Today we are very excited to announce that we have acquired all rights to Felix the Cat. We think Felix really goes beyond evergreen status and rises to something even more uncommon. He's a true icon. We plan to make him one of the most desired fashion brands in the world, but retail is more than just an outlet for our characters. It also represents a venue for entire new lines of business that we are actively exploring. We're already moving forward with one that you should be seeing this coming Christmas. It is the brainchild of Paul Kurosawa, who joined the company last year as head of retail entertainment and development. Paul looked at the most important period in retail from November 1st to December 25th, and one of the central events of all the activity around this, which is parents and children lining up to meet and greet Santa Claus. Paul realized that this was fundamentally no different now than it was when the practice began at a Massachusetts department store in 1890. With all the changes that have taken place in retail, Paul figured that Santa deserved some changes as well. So he came up with a complete overhaul of the Santa experience, utilizing all of the high-tech gadgetry in our storytelling toolbox, and we're calling it DreamWorks Dreamhouse. In it, shoppers will be treated to a fully immersive story that will appeal to parents as well as kids. It will be hosted by our characters and will include a thrilling 4-minute flight on Santa's sleigh to visit the big guy in his home at the North Pole. Should be quite an upgrade from the 1890 experience. We have finalized a number of agreements to bring DreamWorks Dreamhouse to malls throughout the U.S. beginning this holiday season, and we expect to roll it out internationally next year. This is just one demonstration of how much we at DreamWorks believe in retail. Without question, the internet has added a whole new dimension to shopping. But the cyber experience does have some limitations. You can't try on clothes, you can't interact with other people, you can't meet Santa. The Chicken Littles who have predicted that online shopping will destroy retail remind me of the doomsayers who time and again have predicted the demise of moviegoing. First, in the 1950s, they said television was going to destroy theatrical films. Then it was home video, then it was pay-per-view. Now it's streaming and on demand. But theatrical exhibition continues to power on. In China, they're building 10 new screens every single day. This is primarily for two reasons. People like to get out of their homes, and equally important, theater owners have continually upgraded the experience with enhancements like digital projection, 3D, great sound, and now adding quality food and beverage experiences and offerings. In much the same way, retail will continue to flourish because people actually enjoy getting out and interacting with their world, and because you continue to make the shopping experience more inviting and dynamic. This is why we're so excited to be ramping up our efforts in this space. Which actually brings me to one last major lesson we've learned at DreamWorks during the past 20 years, the importance of working with great partners. This is true for everything from distribution to technology to location-based entertainment, and certainly for retail. In a very real sense, you are our storytelling partners. When a child buys a toy of Toothless, the dragon, this mythical creature and its story lives beyond the movie theater and the movie screen. And it gets told in new ways through that child's imagination. So for us, you're absolutely integral to the telling of our stories and the building of our brand, which is another reason why I'm here today. I simply want to say thank you for all that you have done as our storyteller partners during these past 2 decades. Throughout this time, your importance has only continued to grow for us. When we began, it was mostly about theatrical releases. Now it's about a continuous pulse of products, movies, TV, online, mobile, location-based entertainment, retail merchandise. This pulse of product will drive long-term growth for us all during the next 20 years, as our partnership will become closer and continue to grow in extraordinary ways. My confidence in the future is based on all the lessons that we have learned at DreamWorks. Change is hard, but if you make the right changes, make good stuff, diversify, find the right partners, things will actually work out pretty well. Best of all, in the years ahead, there will be opportunities we can't currently, in this moment, actually even imagine. Because after all, you never know. Thanks so much.